Hey, Matt and Kimberly here. Today we're going to talk about making your employees feel safe. So, Kimberly, I wanted to start with, I used to own a consulting company. So, why, as an owner of a consulting company, would I need to make my employees feel safe? Not that I'm a bad person and don't want them to feel safe, but why is this even a big topic?
So I wonder if we shouldn't start with clarifying about what we mean by saying making your employees feel safe, like what we mean by safe, the type of safe we're talking about. Because
Okay.
there are different varieties of safety in the world. So Matt, let's clarify what we mean by making your employees feel safe.
Right. So they don't want to get hit by a bus and then they're safe, right?
Yes, that's a good start. That's a good baseline, but I think they also want to make sure that they're going to have a paycheck next week and that they're able to learn and grow and evolve. And that if they're on a customer site and a client site and the project isn't going that well, that we're going to have their backs, and that they're going to have a place to be, and they're going to have projects to be on, right? That in if one project's ending, that we're going to have something else lined up for them to go to.
All right. So when we're talking about safety, we want them to be financially safe. We want them to be safe to deliver their work, and obviously, we want them to be physically safe and so forth. But so then, why is it such a big deal? We don't lay people off. Often it's something that we do everything in the world to avoid. We put people on projects. When those end, we usually have another project. So why wouldn't people feel safe in an organization?
Well, not all organizations don't lay people off whenever things dip. So there is that. But there's also the visibility piece, right? So if we are able to see where we're going as a business and know that there are things coming down the line where we can put people on projects when they come off the next set of projects, that's how helps us feel like safe in our business is going to continue to grow and continue to make money. But we also need to provide visibility to our teams and our people of what's coming in the future as well. So, for example, if our teams and our people see that there's 100 people in this portion of the organization and 95 of them are on a project, that's great. If half of them see projects that are going to be ending in the next 2 months and they don't know what's next, that's scary. People talk to each other and stuff. They go, wow, these two huge projects are ending and we don't know what's next. Then people start to get nervous and think, well, if we're not hearing about any new projects, then there are no new projects. If there are new projects, are there going to be layoffs? And then what starts to happen is instead of people focusing on the project they're on, delivering what they need to deliver, and also in learning and growing themselves, they start worrying about their future. And once they start worrying about their future, they also frequently will start looking somewhere else, right? Because they start looking for stability. If I don't have confidence that you're going to continue to be able to pay me in a couple months because you're going to have a project to put me on, then I'm going to start looking for other work to make sure that when I roll off my project in 2 months, I have something to do. So again, it's a distraction from what they're doing, and it also causes churn in the organization, which is culturally not a good thing. It's also fiscally not a good thing.
Okay, so not providing visibility. So uncertainty can be a reason people feel unsafe. Lack of information can be a reason that people feel unsafe. Um, and you're saying that them feeling unsafe can can cause other effects on the business. So when we talk about a business, right, we typically talk about three circles, right? We talk a lot about the people circle. So we need to have great people as a consulting organization. We talk about the client circle. We need clients so those people have something to do. And then the company circle. If we don't have a healthy company, um, we 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 don't have anything. So in the end, we need to balance all three of these circles. And I think today, when we're talking about people safety, we're talking about the overlap of those circles. So when the company and people overlap, what are the things that are key in order to create safety? And when the people and the clients overlap, what are the key things necessary to create safety? Let's start with the company people overlap. You know, what are some of the things that that company people relationship needs to address in order to create safety?
Well, we talked about one, which is visibility, understanding that, you have being a consulting organization, your time is your product. So knowing that there are more projects coming when one project is ending, that's huge. Knowing that there's work to do. Another piece of feeling safe is feeling that you can grow and explore, that you can, in order to really have the best teams on the ground, you don't want people doing the bare minimum. You want people who are going to, really try their hardest, who are going to learn, who are going to explore. And those people need to feel like they're safe, so to know that if they fail, if they do something and it doesn't go the way they wanted it to, that they're going to have an opportunity to do other things, that it's not going to be, well, you tried something, it didn't work, and now we're going to hire somebody else. So I think that's a couple of the places, people need to have that safety feeling, knowing that there is something next, knowing that they are able to continue to learn and grow, and that if there is an issue on a client site, there are other clients that they can go to.
Right. And a lot of times when we're talking about running a business, these things will seem obvious, but what we have to do is build a cadence that makes sure these things are addressed every day, every week, every month, every quarter, and that they're not just done ad hoc when someone asks or what have you, right? So I need to constantly be predicting what's going to happen over the next 3 to 6 months. Because if I know I have a wave of people coming available, I can make sure that I forecast to people this is what's happening. We have a plan. Here's what we're doing on the sales side. Here's the internal projects we're going to do if you come available for a period of time. And and to know that we're on top of it, even if the news isn't perfect, that we have it all covered. It's that we know about it, we're doing something about it, and it's consistent, right? That we're consistently, people know what information is going to be available to them, when it's available, how to get it, and that we're looking at it and we look like we're planful in what we're doing. Um, you want it to be, I said consistent, right? So we want our data, that our hiring plans and our bench plans and our sales plans are all in sync, right? If people start to hear we're hiring 23 people, but we have 40 people available that we don't know what to do with, they're going to start feeling like we don't know what we're doing, possibly because we don't know what we're doing, right? So what we need as an organization is to make sure that we've got a consistent view that is a cross-disciplined view, so that we aren't hiring when we have people coming available if it doesn't make sense, and so forth. So that ability to have systems that interoperate, to have a forward-looking view, are a couple things that between company and people can really create that confidence and give people a safe, consistent message.
Absolutely. And remembering to communicate it out to people. I think that's a key piece that gets overlooked sometimes. It's really easy as a leadership team when you're running the business. I mean, once you actually have the ability to have that information in front of you, getting in a cadence where as a leadership team, you're looking at that information and you're making those predictions and making those decisions. It's making sure you're taking that extra step and communicating, um, you know, out to your teams what's going on with the business and what's coming, and giving them that visibility that helps people feel safe. It also helps people
Right.
trust you because you are giving them the visibility, right? So you're trusting them, which makes them feel safer and trust you.
So a big mistake I made in the area of safety was, one time we hired someone to the bench. We were very excited they were there. We had clients asking for that capability, which we didn't used to have. In the 6 weeks it took us to sell that person, um, you know, we did not provide the information and the clarity that they were safe, and they actually felt guilty about us paying them, and they weren't client billable yet. So as another opportunity came by, they took it, thinking they were doing us a favor, and in the end, they were safe the whole time. But not having communicated and provided that meant that I really messed up, in that I thought, I was making an investment, and they were fearful that we made a mistake. And in the end, it doesn't matter if people are safe if you haven't created that clarity and communicated that between you and the company, or the company and the person, I guess is the way to say that. All right, so we talked a lot about the safety between a person and the company, right? The interesting dynamic is that our consultants don't do internal projects very often. Most of the time they're working for a third party, so they're working for a client. So Kimberly, when you're a consultant out at a client site, or when you have consultants that work for you out at a client site, what are some of the areas that it's important to provide safety in those circumstances?
I think step one is even just providing support. All too often, people will put consultants at a client site and then essentially just kind of leave them unattended. And they end up being treated as if they're working at the organization, which you want people to feel assimilated and cared for by the client, but you also want to make sure that they always know that they're part of your organization. You want to make sure that someone is checking in on them on a regular cadence, that they know that they have an escalation path and air coverage. So if there is an issue with the client or an issue with the person that they need help with the client, they know that you have their back. They know that they can count on you to be there for them, and that you're going to make sure that they're taken care of regardless of what happens with the client. Even if they have an epic fail that, and you need to bring them out of the client, which we've had to do before. We've had consultants that did not work out at the client site. It was the consultant's fault. It was not the client's fault. However, the consultant felt safe. We brought them out of that client. We worked with them on the things that caused them to have issues, and we were able to redeploy them on another client site. So they felt safe being able to explore and learn and grow, and like they were going to be taken care of. They didn't feel like if there was an issue that they were going to be fired. People who are less, I guess warm fuzzy huggy, may wonder, why do I care about that? If they're having an issue at the client site, then who cares? But you want people to also be able to escalate to you, right? So if people don't feel safe, people will hide things. If you think back to the dark ages when we used to do project management in the late 90s, and you would ask if something was on time, nothing was ever late until it was flaming red, because no one ever wanted to say my project is behind, because of the repercussions of saying that. It wasn't safe to say your project was behind. So people wouldn't tell the truth. So you didn't actually have visibility into what was truly going on in the situation, because people didn't feel safe to tell you that there was a small problem when it was a small problem and you could fix it. So, if you feel comfortable telling me there's a problem, the earlier you tell me there's a problem, the earlier I can actually do something about it. If you're uncomfortable telling me there's a problem because you don't feel safe, by the time I find out about it, I may not be able to do anything about it, because it's already gone past the phase where it can be resolved in a positive manner for everybody. So huge
Right.
impact of employees feeling safe and feeling like you have their back when they're on the client site.
Right. And people can be at a client where there's one consultant at that client from your company, or 20 consultants. And especially when there's only a few people, you need to make sure you provide that support system and feedback. Is there an alternate path of talking to the client other than directly through that consultant, where someone can go and talk to the client and get feedback and give feedback? Are there ways that the person can stay and feel connected to the organization? And in the end, you want that person to be more powerful than they are as an individual. You want them to have the team behind them. So providing that network and connectivity is going to help them feel safe and confident in leading the client, but it's also going to increase the value you as an organization are providing the client. Uh,
Absolutely.
another area of safety, we talked about giving employees visibility to what's going on and which projects are coming and ending and so forth. Having that relationship with the client and making sure that you've got clarity on what the client's plans are. Are they extending? Are they not? Are they doing those things, right? having that good relationship and knowing what's happening at the client so that you can provide that visibility to the employee, and you can be thinking forward. If they want that employee to be there for 3 years and it's not in that employee's career plan, how can you transition in a meaningful, in a planful way, to another person where the client gets some new invigorated talent, the employee gets to do something new, and it's not felt like a knee-jerk thing, right? So being, again, predictable and projecting things forward is going to give you a lot of safety for people to be able to see that over time their needs are going to get addressed.
Absolutely. And you and I talk a lot about establishing cadences around our finances, around our people. This is another place where you should have a cadence with your clients so that you do have someone who's responsible for regularly meeting with someone on the client side who is in a decision-making position, to get that visibility into how the client's feeling about your people and to see how the client's doing as far as extensions and et cetera, because that feeds back into your system for how, what you have coming down the line and makes you be able to be more predictable, right? And it also establishes a relationship. So again, when there's a problem, not only is someone on your team coming and telling you there may be a small problem, the client also feels comfortable and the client feels safe coming and telling you that there's a small problem and you can work together to resolve it before it becomes a big problem.
Right. So, I think that in the end, right, safety may seem like a small thing and something that people should just feel safe. You're a company that's been around, that you treat people well, you do good things, but having the right cadences, providing the right visibility, being predictable, providing data in a timely, transparent way, if it's good or bad, at least you have the same facts on the table and you can talk through where things are going. I think in the end, you're going to have people who can do their craft. They can focus on their client. They can deliver, and by having people that are feeling safe, delivering, and focused, and doing the best work for your client, that in the end is going to cause you to get more work. It's going to cause you to deliver the results for the clients. That's going to create safety for everyone, safety for the company, safety for the people, and ultimately safety for your clients, because when your clients hire you, they're taking a bet and they need to prove to their stakeholders, their bosses, their market, that they're spending the money in a wise way. And by getting everyone to feel safe and 100% focused on solving that client's problem, you've now produced the best thing you can produce in actually, providing that snowball that creates that safety. So I just encourage people to, think through these things and, look for ways to provide that safety so that everybody can stay focused on the core value they're trying to deliver.